Hello and welcome back to the channel everyone. Umbilical cord is a very important connection between the mother and the child. It gives all the possible nutritions and it is the strongest way which helps the child develop. Similarly is the model of cord productivity. It is basically a method and a cornerstone to cord is an acronym. C for capture and collect, O for organize, R for review and D for do. We will see when we apply the cord productivity model how you achieve effortless productivity. So let us dive deep into the cord productivity model. C for collect and capture. Whenever we get ideas, whenever we get anything new, it's very important to collect it then and there itself. This is where we start harnessing the information, especially our own ideas, the unique things that we learn. We establish relationship between facts, the new relationships that we may have established between the facts, the ideas that you may have got while reading the book, a quotation from somewhere, a news, a blog post, a email that you may have got. All of this has tremendous amount of information and a potential to transform into something valuable. So the first thing about productivity is to learn to capture and collect the information that you have or the information that you are exposed to. Second is to organize. Once you have all sorts of information available with you, the next important step for you is to understand that you need to get into the habit of organizing that information. You need to ask some ruthless questions to yourself that how much is the value of this information or how much is the value of this collect and capture that you have done. Once you start organizing the information, you develop consistent habits of thinking and consistent habits of organizing that information. How much of that information is immensely useful? How much of that information can be stored and left for some time else to take care of? You need to get into a practice of basically junking out the information that is not required out of everything you have captured and collected. You may have some great ideas, you may have some great notes, you may have some great quotations, but they may not be useful at the very moment. But they are so valuable that they may be used at some time else or they may come very handy at some time. So you need to store them in an organized fashion so that you are able to retrieve that information whenever you require. The next step is review. For this, you need to develop weekly and daily habits of developing checklists and review routines. If you don't have review routines, you will be suffering from work overload. Once you have reviewed, you will be able to understand what are those tasks and what are those things that require immediate attention and complete focus. This will help you develop optimum efficacy, mindfulness, and mental agility. And finally, the do part. Unless all of your information that you have collected, you have overviewed, you have reviewed, you have organized it, but all of that is useless unless you bring into fruition, unless you bring all those things into action. And for that, you need to develop a habit of doing things, not just planning things. You may be an excellent planner, but if you don't convert them into actions, all of that will be useless. Because doing is basically developing a habit of energizing your potentials, of channelizing your potentials and energy, your attention, the tools that you will use to commit to the act, the tactics, the momentum, and ultimately what you achieve is maximum efficacy. This cord model of efficacy develops into a habit over a period of time, and this habit leads to an effortless productivity. But there is a downside if you don't apply this model, or if you are not into a routine of dealing with our information. Then if you don't do enough of collect and capture, it will lead to feelings of overwhelm. You will be overwhelmed by the information that is being bombarded to you. You will be overwhelmed with the things that have come up into your zone of attention. Or you may get into a feeling of uncertainty. You are unsure about what to do, how to do, and when to do. Lastly, you also develop feelings of stress because you might be missing on so much of things. If you fail to develop a habit of organizing, then it ultimately leads to lack of clarity in what you are dealing with. It leads to a lack of clarity about the time in which you need to complete certain tasks and do certain things. You are not sure about how long it will take to complete certain tasks and which tasks are of highest priority and what are the realistic and unrealistic expectations from the information that you have collected. If you fail to review enough, this will ultimately lead to you not getting a feeling that you are on top of your work, you are in control of your productivity, an inability to put things into perspective, and a level of inconsistency that always puts a stress on us. It leads to inefficacy, and ultimately you run into the panic mode. Running into a panic mode is like you just react to the information and the schedules that you have, rather than you being proactive and on top of the information that you have collected. And ultimately, if you are not concluding things, if you are not doing the things that you have planned and organized, then you are just becoming a couch potato. And there are certain things that hinder our ability to do it. It is procrastination. It is basically the idea of being perfect and perfectionism. These are some things that will kill the ultimate actions that you have developed. Don't wait for something to be very perfect or absolutely perfect. Don't procrastinate, but be very active in concluding whatever you have organized and reviewed. So this is ultimately going to lead to a flawless productivity and a habit of getting things done. So these were the 4 basic principles of the CORD model of productivity. Hope that you have liked the video, and hope these ideas will help you organize better and achieve more productive life and more productive work. Hope to see you soon in the next video. Till then, thank you very much.